And today, I've just been talking to Dan about it really, but we talk about, I guess, unmet needs as the fundamental glue that holds everything together. I mean, it hold the whole repression program together. Without unmet needs, which what we used to call utilities, there won't be any repression or anything. There has to be agenda behind what we do unconsciously. And what is the agenda to get our needs met? And the biggest need is for us to be able to push our emotions down or to be safe from our emotions, really. So, but then that can turn into many different stories and identities, and we constantly kind of seeking that, looking for that, trying to get hit from that, getting pressure from that. And again, we just go into the vicious cycle of pressure and pain where we get a temporary soothing when we get what we think we need, our need is, we get that met, and we get a soothing, but the pain has to follow because the repression persists and exists. So, yeah, and it's heavily connected to our expression of ourselves, really. And even knowing needs, it was difficult for me as an anger repressor. It was hard to know what I wanted, what I needed. I didn't know even I was allowed to have needs, you know. And but when you really dissect that, when you reverse those things, like I don't need this, I don't need that, yes I do, and then you know, underneath the stories about all of that, it's all about your emotions and the fear of emotions that you repress most. So yeah, Dan, do you want to add anything? I mean, we could go on about it, but it's quite crucial to the work and to know that there's always agenda behind it, however true it might be. And
Yeah.
I'll say one more thing is that the ultimate addiction to is for our needs is for us to believe in thoughts basically. That's the ultimate, because they're all thoughts, the things, the stories, and identity we believe. We just can't leave it alone. Like I'm not good enough. This is gonna happen. This is good. This is bad. We can leave some of the thoughts alone, but some of the ones we just have to identify and believe it, and then we are unconscious. We can't see as thoughts anymore. It's true that I'm not good enough, or I can't do this, or I'm a failure. As soon as we believe it, right, and we give it power, we give our power away, and that's how we go in that vicious cycle. So every time I believe I'm a failure, I manage to push my anger down temporarily because it's gonna come, and then I get my hit. It's amazing. Yeah, I'm a failure. It feels like horrible on the surface. It feels like a suffering that I'm not good enough. No one loves me. But that's less scarier than feeling and expressing anger, basically. So I'd rather be ashamed or be a failure to believe in the thoughts and stories about that than to feel and express that. Um, that's where it's not easy to understand this in your head because mind just can't comprehend it. But through our inquiries, we get to experience it. So it doesn't have to be a knowledge. Well, it's a knowledge, but it's not a knowledge for the mind, if that makes sense, because that just added to the program of repression. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not just context anymore. It just becomes your experience. And I think, yeah, when I'm like uh, introducing that concept to people and when they're starting mentorship or going into it, where it's like, okay, just assume that your system is addicted to suffering and it's addicted to suffering for a reason. It's always addicted to whatever suffering state, if it's anxiety or shame or self-hatred or whatever it is, self-sabotage, in order to get something from the outside. Because I imagine like if you look at an infant or something, it's like the way that we get our needs met. The first way that we get our needs met is like really young kids is by fussing and suffering. Um, I think part of that's natural, but it's sort of like we get so used to that where it's like, you know, if I cry or if I whine or yell or whatever, then someone's going to come hold me or somebody's going to feed me or whatever it is. And then that mechanism kind of stay. I don't know. For me, it's like it stayed in my consciousness, and I can even remember being a kid and like um I got when I was I think 10 or 11, I got hit by a car and I like cracked my skull and got a concussion, and I was home for school for like a month. And it was hard just because there was pain and I had like black eyes and all this stuff. But I remember being at home and like noting to myself, it's like, okay, when I'm sick, my parents take care. When I'm actually hurt and actually sick, they come and they take care of me and they'll be with me. And I remember going, like noted. You know what I mean? Like, and then that just becomes more and more unconscious. And then, we get into adulthood and it starts being okay, there's addiction, there's depression, there's anxiety, whatever it is, but it's still, you know, if I can figure out what the beliefs are that or the landings are that kind of make up that, oh, look at the cat. You got a friend there.
Hmm.
And if I can figure out what that is and then start to bring it into the work and challenge it, so that then I can access what's underneath it. So yeah, it's that's I think it's kind of a hard pill to swallow when you first come in to go, okay, I have to, I need to suffer. But most people, if they are coming to the work, would probably go, yeah, it's true. I've done all these other modalities, I've been through all this other work or whatever, and there's still something inside me that like a little engine that needs that suffering state. Um, and that persists. I mean, for me, it's jumped to a bunch of different things as I've gone through the process of resolving repression, where it was like first it was the addictive stuff. And then I kind of look and resolve that. And then it jumped over to like depression. And then sabotage will come in, all these different anxiety, whatever it is. But, you know, so if you put it in the framework of like when an addict, I don't know if any of you have been in 12-step recovery, but when addicts get sober from one thing, they addiction hop and they usually start doing something that's a little bit less, it's like harm reduction. Like somebody will get off alcohol and they'll start smoking pot, or somebody will get off drugs and they'll start using porn or whatever it is, right? And it's like that's the movement. Um, if I'm not resolving the repressed emotions, then I'm just going to be bouncing from one thing to the other. So, anyways, yeah, I'll leave it at that. But yeah,
Yeah, nice. And I also want to add, by doing this work and seeing the unmet needs and utility and what we do, you also see the innocent part of it. Because it's so easy to make part of ourselves like an enemy, or there's something wrong with me. Like, why do I keep doing this? And the hatred towards yourself can be there, or how broken I am. I keep doing things I don't want to do, and I can't help it. But when you really start to unpack, you really see why we had to do what we had to do to survive. And there's nothing wrong with it, there's nothing broken about it. If anything, it's just that it's working really well, but it's just very, very misguided. We've forgotten why we did all these things. So you really get to kind of reclaim back all those unconscious part of ourselves that we forgot that exists, really, that really pulls the string and controls what we do and who we are and how we move in the world. But it's nothing's broken. If anything, it's working really well. It's really intelligent, and that's how we made sure we had to build this armor or whatever we had to do to stay safe, and that's the biggest need. So yeah, so it feels like when you're doing the work, it can feel like you're working against yourself, or you're trying to fix yourself because there's something wrong with you. But no, it was just misguided. We had to really help ourselves, and to protect ourselves from these feelings that we never got us love, or got us harm. If you show your anger, some of you got really physically hurt, or if you show your weakness, you got hurt, or whatever it is, or all of that. But now we're doing that to ourselves, and then we hurting ourselves in that way. So
yeah,
it's kind of, yeah, I just wanted to add that. But yeah.
yeah, yeah. And it's funny because there's like a zero sum sort of aspect to the state, I think, too, of being in repression, where it's like I've heard a lot of people say this in mentorship or whatever, where it's like it's when they're in relationship, it's either me or the other person. It's like I either like I have to this person has to suffer or the other person has to suffer. It's just this me or them thing. And I think it usually ends up being it's like, well, because the learned the learned thing in my system is I have to deny my needs, meaning I have to repress my dominant, I have to repress my emotions to get needs met. So I have to you know, deny my own needs to get what I want. And that's like I always think, well, that can never work. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because if I'm denying my own needs and I'm pushing them down and hiding them or whatever, and then even if I get what I want from the outside, I'm still denying my needs. I'm still repressing my emotions and suffering.
Yeah,
Um,
it's crazy,
so I
isn't
think
it?
that's a good pattern to become aware of is to go, okay, And man, so many different places that's shown up for me where it's like I have to hold that back so that this person will love me or like me or whatever. And that's just,
I need this, but I mustn't need it. It's the double bind things, isn't it? Just kind of, that's how we trick ourselves. My needs is to not get my needs met. That's my need. I must not get my needs is my need. It's crazy, but it makes sense to the body and the conditioning. It's crazy.
Wow.